So that's raspberry, blackberry, rye waffle with dark Lindt chocolate for a special treat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'm going to talk about whatever works, gentleman's agreement, beach bum, and then James is going to talk some more about genius.
About whatever doesn't work.
And the dogs are very excited. They can hear that James is back.
Yeah.
And they
Done a
know
little
that
bit of a
when
treatment.
James comes, he gives salmon. So
To them. Well, Pauline cooks the salmon, you know.
yeah.
I kind of debone it. Pauline debones a lot. And then I portion it. And for little treats. So yesterday was red letter day for Opie. He learned how to, what I call roll over. He rolls over on the side. He doesn't roll over entirely. And the thing is that he knows the word stay. Because what he was doing is rolling over and coming back up. So I told him stay, and he figured it out right away. You know, like stay ordinarily is a dog sitting there. But he understood that he wasn't supposed to move and come back up.
No,
So,
you guys stay in there.
of course,
Opie
dogs
scratches
don't
the
understand
door.
English, according
And
to
he has
the
such
experts.
big nails. He really
Yeah, I know.
scratches.
Okay. Do you want to let him out? Or?
No,
Well, so you won't scratch. Anyway, it's up to you.
we'll see. Anyway, so I went to Shoppers Drug Mart this morning to check my lottery tickets because I bought 2 last year and it was almost the time. I think you have to check them within a year or they're no good anymore. But I shouldn't have bought 2. I should have only bought 1 because you only need that dream, you know. You get that one and then you can just ride that dream that whole year.
Pauline,
Yeah.
do you want these? I was going to throw them in my recycling bin.
Oh
They're
yes,
called
thank you.
birds and bees.
I'll grab them. I've got
They're all
gloves.
about
Okay.
birds. Here.
Yeah.
All right.
I've
You
got
don't
gloves.
Thank
want them
you.
anymore.
Yeah.
Throw 'em in
No,
the
I love that,
recycling
Meg.
That's
bin.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys, like, I never have time, so.
Oh, I love that
Okay.
magazine. Thank
Yeah,
you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I keep thinking I'm going to do it, and I never do, so. Stuff over here and there.
Spring cleaning
Thank
early.
you very much.
Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Take care.
So, yeah, my neighbor brought me Birds and Blooms magazine because she's a bloom sort of person too. I'm a Birds and Blooms sort of person. As you know, if you've been watching for any time at all. Anyway, so I was at Shoppers and I thought, well, I don't want to just get my lottery tickets checked. I'll buy something. So I bought James some chocolates and some
very thoughtful.
cashew cereal that was
Cashew, not cashew, right?
yeah, that was reduced to clear.
No,
So,
cashew's
very-
kind of volcanic, and some of it's
We'll
types of
find
cereal.
out. Yeah.
Exactly. But we're not going to mention how, in what way it's volcanic.
The high protein, we were finding it to be quite explosive in a certain way. So let you know if the
Yeah.
formula remains the same.
Maybe sometime when food isn't involved.
Yeah. But anyway, so
But the protein's got to be good for you, right? No?
well, I don't know. It's soy protein for the most part.
Yeah.
And
But some people don't like soy, like for cancer. Some people say it's good. I'm going, well, it's probably somewhere in the middle, so long as it hasn't been too much GMO'd.
well, that's the thing is,
Mhm.
it is, and it's. I mean, now with the Roundup Ready crops and with the just even when it's not a Roundup Ready crop, when Roundup's being used as a seed desiccant, then whatever you like, if you buy a cereal, I remember one of my loved ones was talking about how she wanted to buy a dog food making machine so that she could make her own cereal. And I thought, well, I didn't want to say anything, but I think cereal is basically like dog food, so it makes sense, you know, that you'd use that to make cereal. So whatever. But I mean, if you can't wash it off with the whatever's being used, like I don't worry too much about. I buy the frozen peas. Because I figure, well, whatever was sprayed on them would have been gotten on the pod, and maybe the peas are okay. I don't know. So I buy those. But I worry about things, like
People should.
it didn't used to, like now when I have this dark rye flour bag over there, and it has a big warning on it, make sure that you cook it thoroughly, and if you put it on the flour on surfaces, make sure you wash it really well, and all this stuff. And it's like, okay,
That's worrisome.
Exactly.
They're worried about exterior surfaces, but not what's going on in the interior.
That can't be good inside if it's not good on the outside.
Well,
but in any case, I guess I better just get talking about stuff. So, I normally wouldn't buy James cashew cereal or Lindt chocolates because that's not very good. But I thought, well, for a treat, because I went to the Salvation Army a while ago to get free food, and there was a box of cereal, and I asked if I could have that, and like they don't have a sign on which is for the families and which is for just anybody. So I asked, and they were like, and I was like, that's okay, it's okay. So I thought, okay, I can't get cereal here. That's for families. So then I saw it on clearance there, and I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll get it for James. So, because this morning he came over, and he told me last night that he had an appointment early at the cancer clinic, and so I didn't make breakfast, and then he came over and he didn't have breakfast, and I don't know, how were you with the breakfast? Did you find it?
Oh, it's awesome. I make a mean, in the good sense of the word, a mean sandwich, a tomato sandwich.
Oh, okay.
And I gotta admit, I used a little peanut butter and one piece of bread.
That's good.
Open-faced tomato sandwich. Pretty good.
So whatever works. This is a Woody Allen thing, and it has Larry David as the star in it.
And here I've got something I picked up at the cancer clinic. They gave me a little lunch.
Oh.
So I made sure to get veggie salad and some cheese. So we'll share the cheese with the dogs.
Right. So it says witty, poignant, zany, and hilarious. And I don't think it was any of those things.
Witty, pointless?
No.
Poignant?
Yeah.
Never.
Pointless would be more accurate.
You must have been disappointed. You like Larry David.
Well, I do, and I like Woody Allen.
I like Woody Allen pretty good.
But this movie it didn't work. Whatever works, it didn't work. And there was one joke that I laughed at the end.
Right at the end.
Right at the end. Larry David, he said, what did he say? Something like, well, I don't know how many are left, or something like that, right? Or I don't know how many have stayed, or I don't know how many are still watching, whatever. Anyway, if you watch it, you'll see that at the end, and you'll go, yeah, that's a good joke. But the rest, not funny. It just wasn't funny.
Well, as I was saying to Pauline, I think I was listening to it in the background. One of the problems is Woody Allen was figuring, hey, we're both kvetchers, he and Larry David. We're very different. Woody Allen's more like, figuratively speaking, a suicidal kvetcher. Doesn't think that highly of himself. Whereas Larry David's almost like homicidal kvetcher. He's complaining, you're going, wow, this is dangerous. Woody Allen, you're afraid he's going to jump out a window or something.
Yeah.
Larry David, you're the characters they play.
Yeah,
the character Larry David plays, you're afraid he's going to throw someone else up there.
No, I think Larry. I don't know about that, but I disagree with that characterization of Larry David. But I think that Larry David has a very high opinion of himself, and so I think Woody Allen did cast him correctly in this role. But it just wasn't a good movie. That's all. It just wasn't any good.
But maybe Woody Allen's getting a little bit older. I think he's significantly older than I am, and I'm getting up there, coming up 69. So.
Okay, next on the stack, Gentleman's Agreement. And yes, Gregory Peck was handsome. But honestly, the movie was not good. It's about a journalist who pretends to be a Jew so that he can investigate intolerance. And I guess probably at this time it would have been very important to be making such a movie.
I think of Peck as a 50s kind of guy. When was it made? Can you tell? Anyway.
47.
Yeah, so it's right after World War II.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess whatever, but it was honestly really boring.
Seemed like every other word was anti-Semitism. There's got to be a better way to illustrate it or whatever without talking about it that way. It sounded almost like a philosophical screed.
And last on the list, so this was bottom of the stack, so even worse than the other two. The Beach Bum was a bummer of a movie. There was some funny stuff, but I expected so much from, you have Matthew McConaughey. He actually did a good job in this. He didn't play himself, which I've never seen him like this. He like his clothes, even at the beginning, it looks sort of effeminate, right? But at the end, he's like, anyway, so that was pretty good. But aside from that, the movie just wasn't worth making. It had Snoop Dogg in it, Zac Efron, Jonah Hill. But it just wasn't any good. Not any good at all. And honestly, there was one point, I can't believe Zac Efron was willing to do that part where, like, he's playing a total psycho, honestly, who's like a drug addicted guy. There he meets Moondog in rehab, and neither one of them want to be there, so they bust out. Sorry, I'm giving this part away, but who cares? He is supposed to be a jerk, right? But they roll a guy in a wheelchair for his money and stuff. Like, it's just not.
They
good,
weren't rolling
not
him
good.
across the street. They were rolling him for money.
Yeah.
Well.
Tipped him right off.
Mm.
So then he's laying, like, first he hits him with some glass or something, so to conk him out, and then he's on the ground and they take his wallet and stuff.
Doesn't
It's
seem
like,
that funny.
No, not funny at all. And so honestly, these guys really, they're all supposed to be dumb jerks who have too much money, and
Well, there's a lot of folks like that, but they didn't pull it off convincingly. Or?
no, it's just bad. It's just so bad. And
I got to tell you,
can't
I was
really-
listening to it in the background. Sorry, you finish your thought.
Well, at the end of the movie, he kind of starts off where he ends up, or ends up where he starts off, or however you want to look at it. But there's Moondog, the Matthew McConaughey character, is supposed to be like a famous poet, right? And so everybody is saying, oh, he's such a genius, he's brilliant, whatever. And the one poem about his penis, that was all right, but it's not a poem. It's just short prose, and it was good. But anyway.
Well, maybe
So
that
it's
was
just
supposed to be a joke. I just took it as a
disappointment.
joke.
Okay.
So I consider people who write short proses.
You see, the thing is, I don't get comedy. Sometimes if the comedy is really good, then I laugh and whatever, it's great. And I remember I talked to my mom years ago. I didn't realize that she didn't like comedy, and I'm like, okay, well, why don't you just watch a comedy or something like that? And she's like, oh, I hate comedy. And I thought, who could hate comedy? And now I realize, yeah, I like it less and less as I age, because it's just so often so disappointing. I go into it thinking, okay, I'm gonna end up feeling really good and have a good laugh, and it's gonna be light, and it's not, you know. So, but we did this cinescopes thing years ago. It's a book. You look it up. It's good. So it's like horoscopes, but the writers of the book were psychologists or something, and they characterized people according to what movies do you like the best, right? And we looked at ours, and it was dead on. That's who, you know, James and I, we're not the same type of people, and he likes the comedies and stuff, and I don't, and I like the I don't know, the kind of mental, like things that, well, I don't know if it'd be called mysteries or whatever, but the sci-fi stuff that gets you thinking, you know, or kind of doomsday sort of stuff. I like watching that sort of thing. But as you know, I also like mysteries, so they get you thinking. But anyway, so yeah, you were saying you were hearing in the background, and maybe you feel differently about it.
Well, it sounded kind of funny, but sound and look are two different
because
things.
he likes comedies and I don't, so.
McGonaghy looks hilarious to me.
Yeah, he did a great job. I have to say, this might have been the best I've ever seen him, honestly. He did a great job.
I think he did a pretty good job. Like you said, it's not him. Usually he's breathing and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. But I never thought he'd dress up in women's clothing and stuff like that. It's pretty funny. Anyway. So what about?
Genius. Well, maybe folks, I'm not going to talk much about it because I'm on a couple of things that kind of make me drowsy and stuff like that. And ordinarily, Einstein can get me a little bit exercise, shall we say. But if you want to find out a little bit about Einstein, tune into CBC. They're having Quirks and Quarks. They're replaying something from 2005, which would be the 100th year anniversary of this guy's putative annus mirabilis. Annus horribilis. I didn't say anus. Annus, that means ear. Yeah. Horribilis, well, you should be able to figure out what that means. Annus mirabilis means miraculous ear. Did that? Nope. I really don't think I've got enough time to do advance more than I don't have much more time to advance more than what I did yesterday, but how much time? 10?
Yeah, you have 11 minutes, so you could talk about, say, the Northern Lights.
Yeah, I don't know if we kind of covered that. You know, like it's basically the solar wind interacting with the Earth's upper atmosphere, filtering on down. It's amazing it was amazing for scientists when they first found out what it looked like from outer space. Because what happens is it comes down in a ring, so it kind of starts off like at the North Magnetic Pole, not the North Pole. And it spreads out like almost like a smoke ring, it looks like, you know, heading down towards the equator. I think it would be rare for the Northern Lights or the Southern Lights to make it all the way to the equator. Maybe almost unheard of. But it's impressive. So I've forgotten which is which. It tends to be red or green lights. The main components of the atmosphere, almost 100%, are roughly 80% nitrogen and roughly 20% oxygen. And you add those together, you get 100%. But it's the two don't quite add up. There's a few other things in the atmosphere, including some water. I don't know how high that water doesn't extend, I think, up that high. But you know, it's very rarefied. So what's the effect like? It's a little bit like running electrical current through a rarefied. I think they tend to be rarefied gas in a fluorescent tube. So it's kind of thin, and all of a sudden you get some colors. So each element
has its characteristic element when when you've got the element in the gaseous state and you run an electrical current through it. It's a little bit like a fluorescent light. Is that kind of what it looks like? I guess. But at any rate, so these, I tend to think of them as kind of like smoke rings heading down from the pole. We're having something like a maximum now for solar activity, and hence something like or we're working up to one. I'm not sure if it's later this year, if it's right now. Could even be next year. But I'm going to have to check and see. I suspect anyone who doesn't see some sort of possible correlation between Jupiter's orbit, which is roughly 11 years, and the solar cycle is 11 years, is maybe a little bit out to lunch. I'm not saying there is a connection, but here's one thing that they found. At least I've heard that they found. Got to be careful. Now this, as I recall, was written. I don't really check up much the stuff on the internet. You're my witness, right?
Yeah, we don't have the internet.
Yeah.
So James would have to go to the library,
No.
and it's he has to be worried about his immune systems.
So you can see, I was wearing a mask today when I'm getting my treatment. Maybe 3 hours in the hospital. I wear the mask a little bit more than twice a month, but it just never heals up. So I kind of got to watch out. Anyway, I'm figuring, what they were saying is, holy smokes, when you get my source, not they, one individual presumably, when you get maximum of solar activity, in other words, sunspots, and sunspots are basically magnetic disturbances, theoretically on the surface of the sun, who knows how far deeply into the sun's atmosphere, could you call it an atmosphere, plasma field, or whatever. You get the maximum solar activity when you get the maximum number of, now get ready, I understand I don't believe in astrology, but it's interesting. I believe in astrology about as much as I believe in Einstein's theory of relativity, right? Both the general and special theory of relativity. So in some ways I find astrology maybe even more interesting than Einstein's theory. This person was noticing a pattern. Presumably it's a pattern that actually exists. An explanation for it's a bit hard to come by. There's a maximum solar activity, so solar flares and sunspot, magnetic distance on the surface of the sun. And like I said, I don't know how deep these things are. I don't think the scientists really have. They think they have a fantastic theory, but I don't think they've got much of a theorists, at least. Experimentalists. How are you going to conduct an experiment on the surface of the sun? You're going to get fried in anything you send out or something like that. There seems to be a correlation, not causation, a correlation between this maximum and these maxima. And in astrological terms, shall we say, I'm not glitching on the correct term, but positive aspects. Aspects in astrology mean the relative locations of various celestial bodies. So, and minimum number of negative aspects. Again, I'm glitching on the correct term.
Yeah, I don't know why I am too.
But so I'll give you an example of a positive aspect. Conjunction. So what's a conjunction? Well, a conjunction you see up in the sky, if the moon's in roughly the same area of the sky as Jupiter, say, that's a conjunction. So it's 0 degrees. Then another negative one, according to astrological theory. I'm not saying it's true or false or whatever. It's just I'm just reporting. So it's a 180 degree aspect. So here's the Earth, and you get over on one side. An example would be an eclipse of the sun. Eclipse of the sun is a conjunction. So here's the Earth. You got the moon in between the sun and the Earth. That's conjunction. 0 degrees from the moon to the sun. An eclipse of the moon is 180 degrees, so it's what's called opposition. Here's the Earth, here's the moon, here's the sun. The Earth gets in the way, and the shadow of the Earth gets thrown. The shadow of the Earth gets thrown onto the moon. That's supposed to be a negative aspect. Another one is a square. So it's a 90-degree angle. So here's the sun, or here's the Earth, right? Let's say you got the sun rising, and you got the moon out here at the noon position. Right? So that's called the culmination, basically. I think that is the technical term, and it's the astronomical term. Those are the 3 main negative aspects. I don't know if astrologers could probably come up with something that's based on an 8th, like where you go at a 45-degree angle. I'm not sure if they've done that. But the 2 positive aspects are called trines, where there's a kind of like a triangular relationship between the celestial bodies. You wouldn't actually be able to see them, but not all 3 of them, I don't think. And sextiles, which are a trine. It'd actually be part of a triangle. So what am I thinking of? It would be what would that be? 120-degree angle. Is that what it is? And then there's sextiles, which I think are 60-degree angles. So you divide the 360 degrees of the, let's say, the zodiac or something like that. It's actually called the ecliptic, from where you can see it. But the path of the zodiac takes, or that not so much the moon, but the sun and the planets take the star. And so sextiles, you get the maximum number of sextiles. You divide the 360 degrees up into 6 different parts. So you probably recognize the SEX of sextile as being a 6th. And so that would be 60-degree angle. I think that's the way it works out. And I don't think it's 30-degree angles. I don't think they bothered chopping it down that far, although I can't see why. So what would that be? Well, I'm conjecturing. I don't have the material. I'll have to check an ephemeris or something like that, and check that one out in your Merriam-Webster's. And to see if solar maxima occur when Jupiter gets in between the center of the galaxy, which is, I gather, somewhere around Sagittarius,